Hi, my name's Cole Stratton. I'm a junior here at Westminster, and I'm from Draper, Utah. And the myth that I'll be talking about today is the myth that students learn best when the teaching styles are best matched with their learning style. So it's kind of one of those myths that I had heard about a lot in high school and continued into college. And I honestly, I thought it was true as well. And it's the idea that students learn better when they are taught with content that targets their learning style. So the general categories are like visual, social, auditory, physical. But there was also some different studies I saw that used terms like activist, theorists. So it's not always limited to the ones that at least I had heard of. So this myth is actually a good example of the representative heuristic, which is when people assume that something is a certain way because of a perceived similarity to something that is already known. Um, so the myth is built around the idea that verbal type learners are going to absorb spoken word better than others, and visual type learners are going to be more drawn to image based content. The idea behind this myth is very popular because it hints at students being able to learn at almost an equal level and suggests that students who are struggling in school may just not be in tune with traditional teaching styles. So I actually brought this up to my dad kind of on the phone this week. We were just talking about school, and I brought up this myth and kind of the research I had to do on it. And he says that he remembered hearing about it in college, and he was really surprised to hear that it was a myth or that there was not a whole lot of science to back it up. Um, and he kind of just said that it would make total sense for visual learners to learn from pictures, or he said it makes sense in his mind. He also said that in his job, he's responsible for a large team, and given the nature of his work, there's a lot of emphasis put into training and like continual learning about the company and their services. So he said that this idea of learning styles is something that he was familiar with even in his work career, and that they have programs at work that kind of touch on this similar idea. So one of the reasons that this myth is so widely held is because there's a lot of publications and studies that have been done on learning styles. I think there's the Myers-Briggs test that I was given in one of my business classes to assess my learning style. So a lot of people use this approach. A lot of teachers specifically use this approach. Um, but the correlation between improved learning and learning styles has widely been debunked. I actually found an article that was published in 2008 by a team of research psychologists, specifically learning psychologists, and it was published in the journal called Psychological Science in the Public Interest. This study touched on a lot of similar things from the textbook, but it basically goes through the studies that had previously been conducted on learning styles and matching them with teaching styles. Um, and it discredits them because most of the studies didn't really use a proper research method. They weren't able to properly categorize the learning styles, and then they really didn't compare them to each other in regards to how they related to the teaching styles that went along with them. And then the studies that had been conducted and did utilize the proper research method, they didn't really have any evidence that was suggestive of a relationship between matching the learning style of the student with the teaching style of the teacher. So I thought it was really interesting overall. I think that this myth is very widely believed, even after it's been debunked for quite a while now. And there's even reports before the article that I was talking about that this myth has been discredited long before that as well. But I think a lot of people hold on to it because, or they just don't understand that it has been debunked. But they probably hold on to it because it does seem to make logical sense that a student would want to learn in the way that they seem to comprehend better. but I also can understand the idea that they need to be targeting those weak areas as well. So overall, really interesting myth. Thanks for listening.